Boom. Crypto Asia in London just totally tanked. And where are we going from here? And is the bear market here? Is everything over? Do we need to be scared because Bitcoin has fallen under 100K for the first time since May, like 188 or something days? And if you look at crypto Twitter, everyone is just screaming, "Oh, 92 coming, incoming. You gotta, yeah, we're going there, and it's gonna be bad." Well, you know what happened when the consensus of everyone was calling for 10K and 8K? Well, Bitcoin only went to 15. So if everyone is calling for 92 to fill the CME gap, there's still some CME gaps at like 9K. Not all of them get filled. Some of them get filled. Around 70% of them get filled. So here, let's just talk about some stuff here first. So first off, what I see futures being a little bit risk off, right? So this is to me a contrarian bullish sentiment that you've got futures that are under Bitcoin by about $100 or so. And if I go to the weekly and we want to look at, there's actually a gap here at 92. Okay. This little guy right here. So no. There's this little itty bitty gap. You probably can see it better on the 4 hour, but damn, you got to go way back. It's there. Oh, right there. Let me get rid of the Bollinger Bands. That's the gap we're talking about that hasn't been filled. That's what everyone is screaming. Most other gaps start to get filled. This is on a Friday. So truthfully, the difficult part here because of Friday is normally what happens is, let me just tell you to you straight when it comes to markets. Okay. You have the US market that's from 7:30 to like 3 p.m. Eastern time. And then you have the Asian market that is right around that 3 p.m. Eastern market to, well, if it's Eastern, then it's like midnight Eastern. Okay. And they usually follow through with the United States has the headline, "Oh, CME." Well, I guess let me tell you this. The reason why we had the massive dump, okay, and Bitcoin is now at 97 right now. The reason why we had this massive dump yesterday, because everything was good. Everything was good. And the markets were opening, and so it should have been risk on, right? Well, CPI was supposed to release, and whether or not it was going to come in hot or cooling, really no CPI is worse than anything because everyone is flying blind because the BLS was down for a month or whatever. So we've probably seen charts that say after a government shutdown, within 1 to 2 weeks, we start to see a pop, and it continues. In November being one of the stronger months for stocks and crypto. I think crypto's average is around 40%. You expect to see a big pop. Well, the reason why everything is de-risking right now is the data is not likely to be released. So really, come December around this time, which is the same time that you have the rate cut, and now it's at 52%. Like literally overnight, this guy was at like 70 or 80% when the government got reopened, to then, oh, we have no CPI data. So then it's gone down to 52. I think yesterday it was quite a bit lower. Okay, yeah. See here, look, it's all 70, 72, and then it's just continued to go down, right? Because we have the no CPI data, which is what's hurting everything. And right now, we've got major fear, extreme fear of 16. And this can stay there for an extended period of time. Okay. Markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. And trust me, I know, because if I just show you, I'm underwater at the moment, 30K, right? My entry is 106, and I'm like, I should be good. I averaged down a little bit. This is a pretty big guy for me. It's 350 grand. And so, I've got $65,000 in there. Yikes, yikes, yikes. But I'm in the consensus that we are going to go up, right? And we're going to see another big pump because we haven't seen euphoric markets, right? Like when Trump got elected, Bitcoin was 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 bigger than what it is right now. It was like right around 100. What's the liquidation price on my trade? Yeah, no, I don't mind telling you. Liquidation price on my trade is 88,670. So I am good if we end up going to that. Here, where's my Bitcoin chart? If we end up going to that CME gap, right, around the 92, I don't feel like, maybe I think we will get there, but I don't perceive it potentially happening right now because everything has just been flushed. The entire market has been flushed. All the order books are. Like if I look at the funding fees, okay, here, I didn't have that up, but this is something you guys should look at too. And I'll tell you some stuff. Is Bitcoin's funding fees. Oh, that's no. Dun, dun, dun. So everything is neutral to negative. Okay. We've got 0.0082, 0.000. Like this isn't high, right? So right now, everything has been reset. While the dump was happening last night, things went negative. Okay. Things went not deeply negative, but they definitely went down quite a bit because Asia was selling, and they were selling when there's not a whole lot of orders. And that's why they can move the books quite a bit. So right now, I wouldn't be surprised if we retest. But the big thing is this weekly. Okay. The weekly with this blue 50-day, which where is it currently? It is at 102 right now. The 50 days at 102, almost at 103. We got to get over 103 by the weekend. Okay. That's a pretty big hit. And that's going to create a massive CME gap. Okay. And this is the thing that is a major pain in the ass for crypto, is because you've got pumps, and usually Asia, like with low liquidity, this is what we saw all week long, was the Asian market. As soon as we closed, Asia decided to pump. Okay. So if I'm on the daily, not the weekly. Okay. So from Monday, there's Sunday. So Monday, boom, we pumped up overnight to 107. Then the US market opens and they tank. Then it closes, we pump up to 105. Okay. Then the US market opens, then we tank. The next day, we pump to 104 in the Asian market, and then we tank again. And then the CPI came out. So, or it didn't come out. That's the arbitrary thing here. Oh, you guys are asking. So, yeah. So if you are trading, right, there's two ways you could do. You could do a limit reduce order where you're taking money off and you're taking a loss, and that will lower your liquidation price, or you can add more money, right? And you can manually lower your liquidation price, and a lot of whales, they like using cross margin rather than isolated margin. And that is essentially you're using your whole account, whatever position you're in, to keep it alive. And that's why you'll see those guys not have a liquidation price here. But things are scary, because if we do go to 92, we probably will go to 90. If we go to fill this gap, if it does happen on, man, can I drag this sucker out? If we go to fill this gap, price more than likely wants to burst through because orders are going to get done. So we might go down to just under 90 before we go back up. And that is going to be scary, right? But we could see a big bounce here. And why do I think that we're going to see a bounce here? Well, we already have seen a bounce, okay? we've already had the order book thin, and we've got this falling wedge here. Okay. And falling wedges typically break to the upside. And inside this falling wedge, we have an even longer trend line that we're getting back up. Okay. That's back from 2023. Yes, we do have a death cross that's trying to happen here where the 50-day is, well, the 200-day is trying to come over the 50-day. Okay. On the daily, we can see that it is essentially touching with sometimes, its name is wrong because this death cross right here is used to mark, hey, okay, this is the POC, just the volume node. Get rid of that so you guys can see the red line. The green line crosses over the red line, and it's supposed to be, oh shit, bear market, death cross, everything is going down, going down, going down, right? But usually it marks the bottom of stuff. And I'm in the camp that this is massive fear, capitulation. And usually when capitulation happens, that's when we start to see big bounces. Okay. Because everyone is scared. And if you look at crypto Twitter, I hate crypto Twitter because you just get locked and lost because macro, like if we're looking at macro, right? Like where is our country? Where's the United States? And I guess the world, right? So if I'm looking more, okay, stocks, we found a bottom. They found a bottom and a longer trend line. Okay. They are defending like fucking apes is what they're doing. This is the S&P 500, the top 500 businesses in the world. Here's this long ass trend line. Okay. This looks healthy as ever. 200 days way down here, 50 days up here. We bounce. This is a hammer candle. Yes, we're closing in 5 hours, but that looks strong to me. Okay. We tried to break down just in today. We have gone from down to 6,657 to over $100 points, right? That is huge for the stock market. They are defending this like animals. And usually what happens is the stock market plays first, and then the next one is crypto. And why does crypto tank so fucking much? Is because we don't have corporate buyouts. We don't have dividends. We don't have earning reports to go off of. Crypto is very speculative. So when something like the CPI numbers don't come out and it becomes de-risk, well, you de-risk the biggest asset you have. And again, I will say crypto Twitter, you've got guys saying that Micro Saylor is selling and he was just moving money. Everyone is out there to just grasp at stuff. I see traders out there that are trading on like 150x and dumb shit and posting fake shit right here. Like here, I'm totally honest with you guys. Like I'm underwater 30 grand. Okay. I'm underwater 30 grand. And my take profit, yeah, I mean, ideally, if everything bounces with, this is a major swing trade. So we come up here, that first, truthfully, where I could see this going is that 130, right? And then upwards of the top range is 140. I ideally will probably take profits right around 117. I'll cut my exposure and right around maybe 112, I will cut my trade to break even. But, I'm in the realm that this is a massive opportunity right now because again, okay, trading first doesn't go off of macro news. It comes off of micro news, which is just like what's going on. Micro price per se. What's happening? Everyone's de-risking because there's no CPI numbers coming out. Will they ever come out? I don't know. Okay. I see you guys in here in the chat saying that stimulus checks come out in April and things went up like crazy. Yeah. In 2021, I think you believe. And buying spot is very smart. Very smart. Very smart. Because you can, buying spot and just hodling is really what you should be doing for stuff. But here, I'll tell you how the markets work. Okay. So you've got the United States, they say the headlines. CPI, government shutdown over with. So then what does Asia do? Asia pumps on the news. Okay. Then you have the London market where they have somewhat of the follow through. and then they start selling, right? And then you have the United States with the continuation. And that's what we've seen time and time and time again. So what happened last night? Okay, no CPI was out, and the Asian markets, low order books, they started like, hey, let's grab the liquidity. The books are thin. So they move price down to 95, right? And then what happens when London opens? It's not the liquidation cascade, because most liquidation cascades come from Asia. And that comes between like 3 and 10 p.m., like Eastern time, usually is when they start opening up the order book. That's why we see the Sunday pump and dump, right? Once the United States open, because Asia has the thin order book. Okay. And then London follows through with not the dump, but just the continuation, right? And they dropped that sucker down to 94. So we got close to the whole CME gap, but it didn't get hit, and it was defended. And right now we are defending that line. So what does the United States do? We open and we're somewhat reversing it. And that's truthfully what I see happening right now. And the big thing is kind of the uncertainty. Okay. But that's exactly where big guys are going to start playing in here. And looking at this, we are at the bottom of a trend, right? The bottom of a support line, a very strong support line that has lasted. It's trying to break below. Okay. We got to have a pretty massive pump, by Sunday, and it's going to create a big CME gap, right? And then I could see that CME gap getting filled right here at like 103 before this one, if this one ever does. Okay. But just because we have a CME gap, usually around 70% of them get filled, but they don't always get filled right away. Okay. It can take 4 months to never for them to get filled. I personally think the market is due for a breakout. And because look at this, we've had 3 major weeks of just liquidity resetting. And when everyone is capitulated, that's when things typically happen. Funding rates, like I showed you, funding rates have almost turned negative. They are back to neutral. Okay. That is super low. That is telling you that shorts are closing because there is nothing left on the heat map. What are they going to grab? What are they going to grab? Okay, we're going to go after the stuff at 93. Why? There's no liquidity down there. There's hardly anything. All the liquidity is up high. They're not going to let them win. Okay. But again, when I talk about stuff with micro, right, is we've got the Feds. They have cut rates. We have a government shutdown ending. Okay. We have stimulus on the way. We've got quantitative tightening relieving. We've got the stock market that's holding support. We've got crypto trying to hold support. Macro, everything looks good. It doesn't look like we're going into a bear market as much as everyone is screaming, So if you want to join the trading, it's up there in the QR code, but I will be back periodically, let you guys know, but it's okay to breathe. Till next time, it's Johnny Crypto to help you guys make some money.